we were trying to buy like energy drinks for the bullet train. 7% alcohol. Thankfully, I did not drink it.
I cannot tell you the amount of people I know that's happened to.
Right.
They shouldn't make the cans and stuff so cutesy.
They're so adorable.
Everything's always so... Are we already going?
We were going. I was letting you run, but you can go in your own time.
Okay. I am Anna Wolf. I am your host for the podcast How to Get Wet When You're Dry, Love and Lust Without the Liquor. I couldn't tell if go in your own time was British talk for start right now, or if it's like, no, you can go in your own time. So I'm still kind of getting used to that. I am on my way to go meet Lauren McQuistin. I hope that I pronounced her name properly. I'm saying that accurate, aren't
Absolutely correct.
Fuck yes. She has completely paved the way when it comes to speaking really honestly about this stuff. I just think she's really cool. I'm super excited to chat. I aspire to be a bit more Lauren. I feel like her sort of little cousin that was in the special class at school. Anyway, whatever. Lauren McQuistin is one of the voices that I totally look up to. You're so honest. You've got a fabulous book, No Lost Causes Club. You're a musician. Mm-hmm. You're admin of Brutal Recovery. How would you describe Brutal Recovery? Because I just think it's fucking fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I started the Brutal Recovery Instagram account when I was 9 months sober, and I thought by then I would have my life together. Yeah. And I did not, as is often the case when you get sober and think that within 6 months everything will be back to normal. But it turns out there's a long period of restoration in which you have to find yourself. I had my community of sober people, but in the larger world, I just felt so adrift, and I was like, I feel like an absolute freak. So I started making memes about it, for myself to kind of process my experience. And then I started posting them on Instagram. It sat at about, 20 of my friends for about 2 years. Then in COVID, it blew up. So it's kind of it's just an account of my thoughts and feelings at first, and it transferred into kind of something for the people who are in that stage of recovery or any stage of recovery when you've kind of lost your horizon, and you just need to know that you can be making a really good decision to get sober, and it can be really confusing. Just talking about all the stuff that we don't always talk about when we get sober.
Yes, you're so fucking eloquent, by the way. You're so eloquent, and I am so incapable today. So this brings me back to the brain twins thing. I was saying to Ollie before we came in, I was like, I so admire everything that you do, because you bring in nuance and honesty and humor and light to stuff. Because yes, addiction, mental health, all of these things, eating disorders, they are such sensitive topics and such hard places to be, but there is so much light at the end of the tunnel. That's a bit of a dark expression if used in the wrong way, I guess.
No, I really, really relate to that. And I think tunnel is a good word, because it's a long process of not necessarily knowing what is on the other side. And it's a phrase that I really love. I've used it in the book. When you're getting sober, you need to know that the light at the end of the tunnel isn't a train. And that's kind of why I like to use humor, because I want people to know that unspeakable things have happened to me, and that's something that exists inside me in a comfortable way now. Sometimes it tugs, sometimes it drags, but largely I can move through the world without that completely derailing me. One day your life will be so big that you can laugh about this, because it's a part of your past. And even when you're in it, for me, maybe it's my Scottishness, maybe it's it's just that kind of that little dark thread that runs through people who've experienced addiction. I've earned the right to point out what is hilarious about addiction recovery.
It is.
I've earned that right.
You have I so agree with you. If you have shat the bed and eaten 30 boxes of fucking McVitie's, speaking for myself here, you get to make a joke about it. So
it's true. Yes, the cost of entry to be in recovery is I have pissed the bed on a one night stand.
Oh God.
So I get to laugh about that. I'm sorry, because it's obviously tragic. I was in so much pain that I was drinking so much that that's something that could happen to me, amongst other things. It's also kind of funny.
It is funny.
Yes.
It is funny. And on that, it brings me to my first sort of question. So you dated a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I dated a lot. Why did we do that?
Yeah. Why indeed?
Why?
You know, I think for me, so like the concept of love and dating is so compelling to me. I dedicated 2 chapters in the book to it because I think that my relationship to sex and love is fundamental to my issues with the world. You know, that's where a lot of my behaviour showed up. Like before I had drink, I had romantic fantasy.
My favourite.
And my eating disorder. Those were the ways that I controlled the world before I had alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
And when alcohol and drugs came into the picture, that didn't necessarily stop being an issue for me. So like
the dating or the
date, exactly, like the dating and the fantasy as well. Like, you know, you're looking for something in the drink or the drugs or the behaviour or whatever you're doing to imitate that feeling of warmth, belonging and comfort that comes with, you know, feelings of being loved.
100%. You want to fill the void so you fill your hole, so to speak.
Absolutely. So
you've mentioned you have a partner, right?
I do, yes.
So a fear of mine with this is, and I'm getting over it, I really just believe in, like, if you're scared of it, just fucking do it, you know, do the opposite. Because like that for me is an act of love. Like if I want to do something, I don't want to regret not doing it. That's got me in trouble in the past, but now with like sober getting wellhead, then it feels different. But I get scared that I'm going to dismantle my love life or something. Is that something? How did you feel with your book, No Lost Causes? That was so smooth. Were you worried with that coming out about, you know, with your partner?
So I think like it's been interesting for me because like I had to really address my relationship to sex, love and dating. It was about 2.5 years into my sobriety because I got sober in a relationship and
Godspeed, baby.
It was, you know, and it really held me together for a while, like with a lot of my emotional life because I could really, you know, depend on him. Like he was a really, you know, stable figure in my recovery, stable figure in my sobriety. Like I really, you know, in any issue I had with sex, love and dating, I was like, oh, I don't need to worry about that right now because I've got a boyfriend. Yeah. Which is fine.
But you're here to fix everything with fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, and then we grew in different directions. So we had to break up. And, you know, I had a huge rock bottom around sex and love because when I broke up, I remember someone said to me once, you know, because like when you're sober at first and you're just like, you know, you're crawling out of your skin because it's uncomfortable to feel all your feelings for the first time and that drink feels really, you know, enticing. Someone said to me, well, you can't drink with a dick in your mouth.
You so fucking can. Just whatever you got to do at the beginning, if you're not hurting yourself or other people.
Absolutely.
You know.
Just, you know. So then when I didn't have a partner, it was like going into early recovery again. Like it was like I was feeling it all for the first time because I didn't have that like swaddling cloth. And then those can't drink with a dick in your mouth. Like
It is so fucking true though. Welcome back to Life Lessons FM. That was Lauren McQuistin with You Can't Drink with a Dick in Your Mouth. Up next, no, that's not a good idea. Enjoy. I definitely was using dating so I wouldn't have to focus on myself or what was going on.
Right.
I did have like a big break from dating and now I just feel so much better. But I'm dating again. I mean, by big break, I mean that break's been over for a year, right?
Right.
2 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you
That's
very,
like a wonderful investment into yourself.
But you said in the book you were dating and it stopped making you feel good at a certain point, but you just couldn't stop doing it.
Absolutely. And
Tell me more.
Because it's like when I was a kid, right? And I had my first drink and I had my first drug and I thought, thank God, like I'm normal now. Like I can act like how I think other people act. I can feel how I think other people feel. And then eventually that stopped working. Eventually the consequences got bigger and it was, you know, taken more than it was given. But I didn't know what else to do because drinking was like, you know, that was my hope. Like maybe it'll work this time. It was the exact same thing with dating that I was like, oh, maybe it'll be this person. Maybe they'll save me. Like it's just that whole thing of like, you know, I need to feel better and I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to do like, you know, that maladaptive thing. And the drinking the drugs was, I had to get that out of the way quickly. Like, because that was killing me quickest, right? And that's what we say in recovery a lot of the time. Like, the shark closest to the boat, like, deal with that.
God, you're full of great metaphors.
Thank you.
I'm fucking titillated.
I'm just a combination of things that smarter people have said to me. I just happen to remember them.
I'm going to use that.
And, and then for me, like at 2.5 years sober, like that was when it became evident to me that it was my relationship to relationships that was killing me. And like, you think like, oh, well, how can that be dangerous to you? But like I would go on dates and I would become hopeful about people, and then they would ghost me, or like they would turn out to be how dare they. I was so dependent on the the misplaced hope that like this one would work out and they will fix me and deliver me to that feeling of satisfaction that that fix the thing that I think is deeply broken about me. I would become catatonic. Like I would actually just be so bereft, and like I literally left some dates like thinking like, oh shit, did I drink? Like I feel drunk right now. And it would start, the next day, like with that emotional hangover of like, oh God, like I'm not living inside my ethics and morals right now. Yeah. So, I had to take some time off dating, and I really loved that time off dating. Like it felt like this, it felt like at first like a punishment. Like you've been very naughty and you can't run your life and now you need to not date. And it was
can't have good things, Lauren.
Yeah, exactly. No joy for you. Even though like the dating was so joyless. Like it was so painful. And so I took that time off and I felt very fragile at first. My self-esteem was like similarly was so low that I was like, oh my God, if they know that I haven't heard of this author, that means they're going to think I'm stupid, and if they think I'm stupid, they're not going to love me, and if they don't love me, I'm going to die.
Yeah, like, no pressure, boys, by the way. No pressure whatsoever.
But tell me, how do you know it's real love?
Why, ever since I first met Larry, I haven't wanted to date anyone else. The whole 3 months now. And besides, I haven't even had one quarrel with him.
No quarrels? Why not?
I so relate to the dating again and again and again, and it just stops feeling good, and you don't know why you're doing it. It was the same for me as if I were to drink, or with the binge eating, saying, okay, I am not going to do this, and then I'm doing it all over again.
Right, and that place of like, how did I get here again? Yeah. Like I remember once, this was when I was trying not to date and failing. Like this was pre-rock bottom, right? With my sex and love dating, which was when I was about PRP. So I was about 2.5 years sober, acting very unsober, and I was like in an Uber at 4 a.m.
That's a good start.
I know, like seeing this guy, and this guy had said to me like, oh, but like if you're not drunk, then like how are we going to have sex? And that
what a fucking turd.
Well, someone with self-esteem would say that's quite concerning that you think that a necessary prerequisite to sex is me being a little bit drunk or you being a little bit drunk. But I was, me, 2.5 years sober mind was like, oh, that's fine. Like he's fine. I'll show him. I'll be really, really good at sex.
Yes. It's also, I was so busy thinking about, are they going to like me? Right. That I didn't stop to consider, do I like them?
Right. No, 100%. Bear in mind, I did not like this man. We didn't have anything much in common. I found him quite like abrasive, like, and we just like kind of rubbed each other the wrong way. But I couldn't stop going over to his house because like he was giving me attention.
Yeah,
and
my favorite.
The attention from men is the only way that I knew how to feel good about myself. So I was in the Uber, and then there was like this like voice in my head that was like, but you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And I just heard that voice and I was like, no, but I don't want to. So I remember I had a friend who was working on the west coast of the USA at the time. And I called him and I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm in so much pain. And, he's the person that I called when I had my rock bottom with alcohol. And he was just like, here before, haven't you? Like we've had this conversation before. And it was shortly after that I decided, like I'm taking this break and I'm going to like, take myself seriously and like get to know myself. Like, I was so concerned about like if other people liked me, I didn't stop to think like, what actually are my qualities?
Yes.
Like, what are my values? Like, what do I care about? What's my favorite color? I took my break from dating, dated myself, like took myself on dates and treated myself like a catch. Like when I came back to dating, like I really considered what are things that matter to me and how would that interact with the relationship? And it made me realize
Sorry.
that, like, well, that does matter. That's like it really does. To be honest.
It actually does. You
No,
know,
it
the size of the
does.
boat. Like, I'm really anyway. I don't want to. Anyway.
I mean, it's what, you know, it's one of the few things that sets aside your romantic and platonic friends. So, like,
It's
you know,
true.
it matters.
It's
shall we
true.
say.
And I'm probably the worst interviewer out there because I get so excited about the people that I'm speaking to that I interrupt. You know that feeling where it's just in your chest and you're like,
gotta get
I
it
gotta
out.
fucking say it.
Yeah.
Oh no, and now I've lost it. Lauren, it's just completely got. Look at that. I ruined your flow. And wait, dating again.
Wait, we're talking about values. We're talking about, like,
Values.
you know, in dating a person who aligns with your values. And it
Yes.
made me just realize, like, how many times, like, I had betrayed my opinions and betrayed my beliefs and betrayed, like, things I genuinely care about, to like make them like me. And that there are things that, like, I feel really deeply about and feel really passionately about, but, like, you know, if that contradicted one of their stances and beliefs, I'd just be like, oh well, I'll just park that to the side.
Totally. I mean, I dated a man with a Velcro wallet. Oh, right. So, you know, no racist, no people with Velcro wallets. And
That's a fantastic...
Right? Because I would never do that now. I would never do that now.
Not today. I was really surprised when I started dating again, like with a sober frame of mind and like with high self-esteem, because, like, you know,
Show off. Sorry.
What can I say? I love myself. You know, and I was in the arts, right? I'm like a musician, writer, blah, blah, blah. So I was just kind of like, great, like I need to be with a photographer, an actor, or a screenwriter. Like those are the only three acceptable partners for me. I just thought, you know, when I was dating again, like what would happen if I dated a neurosurgeon, like, or something like that, or like, you know, what if I like stepped outside of this really narrow bracket, and, you know, I had lots of resistance. I was like, no, but like, what are you going to talk about? You have nothing in common. Like, you need to be with someone who's edgy and exciting.
Oh,
and,
God, I so relate.
you know, just like, because it's like of my vision for myself in the future, and this like very edgy, exciting
We're going to be
couple.
this bohemian couple, and we're going to have a
Yeah.
child called River. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you know, that takes me also, like, you know, my current partner, like I remember the swipe on Hinge that I made on him, because I remember looking at his profile. We're the same age, and I would despicable. I needed them to be at least 12 years older than me, because they need to have a house that half of the mortgage is paid off. They need to have an ex-wife, and because, you know, I love them to be a little bit tortured. You know, all of this stuff.
me
so,
up.
yeah, like ruin me. So we were the same age, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And he is a doctor, and I was just kind of like, that's a bit grown up. Like that's a bit like, I don't know, like, oh, okay. But, you know, he's very handsome, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance on this guy. Like, it would be a fun experiment to see if I have anything in common with this man.
I bet he loved that. He's gonna love hearing that. You were trial and error, baby.
But it's so funny because he's never dated anyone like me. You know, our first date was fine. Like, it was good. It was great. We fancied each other, but it wasn't like the explosion that I was looking for or that I was used to. Like,
did you find, though, because I was so used to highs and lows, and I used to equate anxiety with, oh, I fancy this person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I remember once I was on a date with this guy. I'm sure he's not a bad person. He just triggered something inside me that I like had a little shake on. Like, I was like actually shaking. Like, I was so adrenalized and anxious at the situation. He said to me, like, are you okay? And I genuinely didn't know that I wasn't okay, because I was like, no, this is what I'm like when I'm horny. Like, like I was literally like feeling
Can't you
like
see
a
I'm like on the cusp
animal.
of coming right now?
Right.
Yeah.
I just like, I just did not know how to interpret my body's messages. I did not know how to interpret my intuition whatsoever. So when I met my lovely boyfriend and we had a good time and I felt safe and I felt attuned with him and I was getting to know him and we were laughing, I was like, oh, okay.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, fine. And I didn't know how to interpret safety. Like, safety didn't feel exciting. So I was like, is this right? And I literally texted my friends, yeah, it was nice, but I don't think I'm never going to hear that from that man again as long as I live.
I love how your mindset, and I'm going to try and date different people. So my girlfriend told me, Anna, open your funnel. And that sounds really, you know, like But what she meant, that's the wrong leggings to do this in. But what she meant by that was I was rediscovering my type. And so I was saying also on Hinge, I started saying yes to going on dates with guys. And in my head, I said, I'm going to give them 3 dates and kind of get to know them, give them a chance. Because I didn't realize how fucking judgmental I could be.
Right.
So judgmental. And part of that was expectations. Was there an instance where something you remember, where you just, in or out of sobriety, put the most unrealistic expectations on somebody to do something?
I put a really, really, really big expectation on an ex-partner. And I will say this was a really lovely relationship. I completely depended on him for so many things. Like, he was my entire emotional life. I was drinking at the time, and I would call him at all hours of the day, just like crying about things, just really overload him with my emotional world at all times, and he had to like fix it. And for a year, he did a really good job of fixing it. Like, he really gave me everything that I asked for, and that is not sustainable.
No,
because I was giving him nothing in return. I was giving him grief, about the last like 6 months of that relationship, I just felt him grow more and more weary, and I went into panic mode because I was just like, oh my god, no, like, you're supposed to make things okay, please make me okay. And I'd make these like big gestures towards him to try and like win him back, but the damage had been done. And we're actually on very good terms now. Like,
oh, good for you.
Yeah, we were.
She's fixed.
Look at me go. I was able to say to him, like, and when we broke up, I remember saying to him, like, you have broken me. Like, you have irreparably broken me. And I'm
sorry, I really shouldn't laugh. It's just, I've done the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's what we do. And it doesn't make it okay, but it makes sense. And I was able to say to him, like, you didn't break me. You actually held me together. You were such a good person. I just had this expectation that you existed with the sole purpose of making me feel okay.
Yeah. My boyfriends, when I was younger, I mean, God bless them. They did God's work, because I was a nightmare child. But the last guy I dated before I got sober, we'd been going out maybe 3 weeks to a month, and I was appalled that he hadn't asked me to be his girlfriend yet.
Oh my God.
And I kept having these allergic reactions to food stuff, but I loved it because I loved the attention.
Natch.
And I was definitely bigging it up. And I was so appalled when he wouldn't come meet me in hospital. And then I just sort of felt like, okay, I've got to end it with him now for self-respect. But I thought he was going to message me and say, I want you back. He didn't. And in my drunk mind, I thought, I'm just going to walk near where is this stalking? I'm going to walk near where he lives as much as I can, dressed up in like a really sexy outfit. No one's fucking walking around at 10 in the morning in like, heels and shit like this. So I'm going to ask you a question now.
Yes.
Sober sex. First time. Do you recall it? How did you feel? Tell me everything. If you want to.
Oh, absolutely. No, I do recall it. And I think that I remember that I said to the person, like, I don't know how I managed to have this clarity at the time. Like, it could have been, I was so messed up when I first got sober. I don't know where this wisdom came from, but it certainly didn't come from me. That, I said to him, like, I'm not ready to do that just yet. And, God bless it, but he was so respectful. Like, he was just like, yeah, of course not. Like, we just met.
I know, but it used to feel so normal because I thought, I guess subconsciously when I was drinking, that a way to, and you kind of touched on this also, connect with someone was, I thought all I was worth was my body, which is kind of tied into my eating disorder too, because I just thought this is my value. Part of rediscovering myself was not sleeping with people when I wasn't ready, not sleeping with people I didn't want to sleep with, which is something that happened a lot, but also discovering wanking.
Yes. No, I think that's, okay, we're going to go into detail here because I believe that masturbating as stress relief, as something to do, as, oh my God, I think I'm going to burst if I don't get like a different feeling inside my body right now.
I love you.
Thank you. That saved my first year of sobriety. Like that literally was just like, it was something I could reach for. I do not regret that. And maybe there are more serene people than me that didn't have that experience, but that was my experience. I was just like, you know, chocolate and wanking. Like that's
I swear,
the first year.
shopping, chocolate, wanking.
Yes.
It saved me
100%.
Because also there's so much. I feel like the way that addiction and mental health gets spoken about, and I know that men have a set of problems that, you know, I will not relate to, etc. But women in the press, typically, we're given a hard time when it comes to sexuality, or our appearances and stuff. So I've always been such a hornball, but I just wasn't accessing it, or horrible things happened where I couldn't for a while. So when I got sober and I first discovered the joys of my vagina, and I'm saying vagina because I used to say things like my nunny, my hoo-ha, my vagina.
Yes.
I was like, I'm wanking in the kitchen. I'm wanking under the table. I'm going to, you know, hump the bathtub. It was the best thing ever.
And I feel like, you know, past using masturbation as like a de-stressor, there's like, for me, another level, like, which is like having sex with yourself. So like I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. I'm a survivor of sexual violence. Most women in recovery are. Like, let's be realistic. I don't think I know a single woman that's not had that experience in their life, and of my friends in recovery. And, you know, and because of that, like there were parts of my sensuality and my, you know, my desire for sex and my libido, which were frightening to me.
Yeah.
There were pockets of pain inside that experience that I didn't feel ready to open, especially with other people. Like when I was fully like in my body, like, you know, that was still something I was working out for myself. Never mind, like invite another person into that experience. So like, you know, the entry point for me was using masturbation, not just to de-stress, but to be like, what do I like? What feels good for me? I've never considered what feels good for me because I was like sucking my tummy in and like doing my angles.
Ah, I'll have to sample that. Ooh, that's hot.
The shame of these things really kept me drinking and everything. And my eating disorder and how I felt my body tied into all of that. And I think part of why I also wanted to do the show and like speak to people like you is because I thought my life would be over and my love life would be over. But there is so much, it's so fun learning to date again and figuring yourself out and figuring your body. I personally think it's like being a teenager in some ways, but with a adult life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I really, really agree with that. And like my first go at a teenager as like, you know, an anorexic, then come bulimic girl who hated herself, didn't have any money, was so ashamed of who she was. Like, you know, on my first round, I didn't have any friends. I was like terminally bullied in a small town where no one related to me. And like, I do love my hometown now. I've repaired that. But like at the time, I just was in this, you know, really rural community, just hating myself and feeling like I didn't fit in. And then, you know, I went to uni and went off the deep end with alcohol and drugs. So it's like, you know, discovering the world around me. You know, I got sober at 25. So I'd say my late 20s was when it started getting good. When I was about 27 was when I was like, oh yeah, like this is.
I love the look on your face, like a fiend.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, like, you know, I've
lock up your son.
It was a really exciting thing. And with every new date and every new experience, like discovering new things, like I found it even more exciting to discover things that I didn't like and didn't want.
100%, because I had no opinions before, or I would pretend to. Okay, well, the final question that I always ask people, and you know, take of it what you will. Lauren, how do you get wet when you're dry?
I believe that it starts with seducing yourself. Yes. So ask yourself, how would I want to be seduced? How would I want to be courted? How would I want to be treated in this way? And I use the word seduction very deliberately because like there is that beautiful, gradual, sensual aspect of it, which is, it's not like, you know, convincing yourself that you want it. It's going into every area of your desire and your wanting and saying, what does this need to be enlivened. Before I could be seduced, I had to learn like to seduce myself. And I mean, that is how I safely and happily and very enjoyably engage with my sexuality and my sensuality today. It's like I'm always thinking, what do I like? What am I enjoying about this? Which one of my 5 senses are lit up by this? And being able to be creative with that. I think that, you know, sex is inherently creative. It's creative not just because it creates life, but because it's like it creates like connection, and it creates enjoyment and pleasure and all of these absolutely delicious, gorgeous things. Like sex and dating is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun.
It is supposed to be fun.
I forgot that because I was putting life and death stakes on it. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be titillated. You're supposed to, you know, share in pleasure. So with me and my partner, we've been together for 3.5 years now, and we're wonderful together because like I seduce myself so that I know what I need from him.
Can I just say, the way that you have described that all, you're like recovery Nigella Lawson. It is seductive, like fucking hell.
Absolutely.
Whoever you are, you're a lucky man.
I'll tell him you said that.
I mean, a lucky man. It was very like, well, I mean, you've seduced me. It was so nice to have you on. Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's such a
pleasure. And for sharing so honestly. It was a delight.
Thank you for making the platform to talk about this. It's so important, especially like as women. Like I definitely have been in a position where I've been scared to talk about stuff like this. So like there's kind of been this hand wringing, like, you know, like it's very taboo for women to talk about sex and desire and wanting. And if we do, we've got to do it in a particular way. And I just think that we can expand upon that a little bit. And I hope that we did that today.
I hope so too. You're so sweet. I have a face where people give me compliments and I go like, I think I have to do that thing now where people do on podcasts where they say, thank you so much for listening. You know, I'm going to try that. Thank you so much for listening. You can catch this podcast wherever you catch all your other podcasts. You can catch Lauren's new book, No Lost Cause Club. Brutal Recovery, follow it. It's just fucking fabulous. Lauren, follow it. Fucking hell. I've just dehumanized you. Follow her in a non-creepy way. And we're going to be back next week unless I've just gotten cancelled. So, hurrah!